Good morning, everybody. It's a nice rainy day, so we are making some meatballs. All right, the recipe behind me is scaled down to what you're gonna make. When I make meatballs, we make them in big batches. So I have 10 pounds of meat, and for every 1.5 pounds of meat, I do 1 egg, so we have 6 eggs. That's about a cup of Parmesan cheese. This is about 12 slices of bread that's been cubed and then soaked in about 1.5 to 2 cups of water. The amount of milk is going to depend because some breads soak up more milk than others. We have some chopped basil and some chopped parsley. And here we have some onion and garlic that's been sweated in a pot earlier, and in this pot we are going to make our sauce, so that's why there's still some left in there. I gave my oregano a haircut, so this is the dried oregano from my garden. Okay, and we're gonna put some salt and pepper. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we are gonna boat motor our bread to make it nice and smooth. Some people like to use breadcrumbs. I don't. I find that if you soak some bread in milk, it gives it a little bit more of a moister meatball. So we're just gonna turn this into like a bread puree. And I'm also gonna add my eggs, or my cheese. And that was Parmesan. If you don't have Parmesan, you can use pecorino. Any dried cheese. That is pureed. So we're going to add this to our mixture. Now, this is my way of making meatballs. If your grandma or your mom or your uncle, your nonna, your nonno, they have a different way, guess what? Listen to their way, because it's a pleasure to know more than one way to do things. And these are my quantities. If you want to adjust them in any way, you can. All right, the beef is 80-20. What does that mean? That means there's about 20% fat in there, okay? And it's all ground meat. You can use a combination of beef and pork, or beef, pork, and veal in equal parts. You can make chicken meatballs, you can make turkey meatballs. This is the oregano, and whenever I put an herb, I always rub it to get out the essential oils and just to break it up. You don't have to chop it. We're gonna give it some freshly ground pepper. When it comes to spice, remember, spice comes in different forms. If you don't like black pepper, you have some options. You could use hot sauce. You could use pepperoncini flakes. You can do a pepper paste. Different cultures have different pepper pastes. Okay. So because there is a little bit of Parmesan cheese in here, there's already a little bit of salt, but I'm gonna add some additional salt. And that was about 2 tablespoons. Okay. Now you have to get your hands dirty. I like to use gloves whenever I'm making something. Why? Because in an emergency, you never know when someone might be at your door or you have to take an important phone call. So it's always best to use gloves. Okay. And the egg is in here to bind. Okay. The onion was sweated with the garlic and a little bit of olive oil, and that gives it a little bit of flavor and sweetness. The herbs are also in here to sweeten. Your bread is also your binder. Now, different people have different schools of thought when it comes to cooking meatballs. Okay, some people can take this, make some balls, and they will take the formed balls and put them right into tomato sauce. Some people fry their meatballs. I go with a different method. I am going to scoop them with a portion scoop, okay? And then I will bake them. And I'm gonna bake them at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes until they reach 160 degrees. If you're making chicken or turkey meatballs, you have to cook that meatball to 165. Okay, because remember, your thermometer is going to tell you when your meatball is done, not just an indication of how much time it's been in the oven. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for. There's nice flecks of herbs. There's some texture from the onion and the garlic, and the bread and egg and milk is fully mixed in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ice cream scoop or portion scoop and scoop them out until this entire tray is full. Now, you can just leave them just like that, or you can hand shape them. That's just an additional step. Okay. So just like that. So we are going to finish doing that, and they're gonna go again into the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes or until they reach 160 degrees. All right? While our meatballs are in the oven, we're gonna make a quick tomato sauce. Today we're using my garden tomatoes that I have canned and jarred. If you don't have that, what you can use is just some San Marzano tomatoes, and you can drain the juice and then puree them with an immersion blender. All right. So in my pot, I have already sweated out a little bit of onion and some garlic. I'm gonna add to that my dried oregano. You can use any dried herbs that you want. I'm just gonna go with oregano. I'm gonna add some tomato paste, and I'm adding tomato paste because my canned tomatoes are a little bit on the liquidy side, and this is just gonna thicken up our sauce a little bit. In goes our and you can also, if you don't want to make your own tomato sauce, you can use any brand of tomato sauce that you like. All right, but I grew all these lovely tomatoes, so I make my own sauce. And I would say that was 6 quarts. Now, tomatoes are normally a little bit on the acidic side, so I'm actually gonna add some sugar. How much? About a 1/4 cup. And I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. And then this is going to simmer for about 15-20 minutes, and then about like 10 minutes before it's done, I'm just gonna add some whole basil leaves right in there, and then I'll take it out. All right? All right, our meatballs are out of our oven. We made 2 trays of over 160 meatballs. So just to show you what I do, I get my Asian takeout containers and I save them. I'm gonna put 12 meatballs in a package in one single layer. And then our sauce is done. So I add enough sauce to cover it, and it ends up being usually about 1.5 cups. And then this cools and gets frozen. And I am just going to show you, this is the finished meatball. You see the inside is nice and all the same consistency. We're gonna add a little bit of sauce to it. And it is very hot because it just came out of the oven. And we're gonna taste it. The meatball's nice and soft. It's got a little herb flavor. It's nice and salty from the cheese and the salt. And it has a really nice, just light tomato sauce to go along with it. Make some meatballs, enjoy, cook with your family. I love you, have a beautiful day.